Late-night shifts at Ridgeview Mart were always quiet. At least, that's what Jenna believed until the night she met the man who never blinked. It started around 1:45 a.m. when the automatic door slid open even though no footsteps approached. The air conditioning pushed a cold draft through the store aisles, and the security monitor flickered. Jenna looked up. A man stood at the entrance, tall, thin, wearing a faded charcoal coat. His face was pale, almost colorless, and his eyes, wide, glassy, unblinking, stared directly at her. His arrival was so silent that it felt like he appeared between one blink and the next. "Sir, we close at 2 a.m., Jenna said softly, and no response. He stepped forward without breaking eye contact. Jenna's stomach tensed, but she tried to stay professional. The man moved to aisle 6, household cleaners, and stood completely still between the mops and bleach bottles. Minutes passed, still not a blink, still staring, still in the same aisle. The store cameras caught him standing with his head slightly tilted, as if listening to something Jenna couldn't hear. When she tried to approach him, he glided, almost too smoothly, to aisle 9, then aisle 3, then the freezer section. Each time she walked closer, he moved away without turning around, as if he sensed her silently. At 1:59 a.m., Jenna triggered the closing announcement. The man appeared at the counter, so suddenly she gasped. He hadn't walked there. He was simply there, his unblinking eyes fixed on her hand near the register. "Sir, do you need anything?" she asked. He finally moved his lips, but not to speak. It looked more like he was mimicking speech, silent sentences with no breath behind them. Then he slowly raised a small item. A single battery. "Okay, that'll be." He placed exact change on the counter before she finished. Jenna took it carefully. "Have a good night," she said. That he still didn't blink. Instead, he gently tapped the counter twice with his finger, as if giving a secret signal. At 2 a.m., the automatic doors opened for him, and he walked into the dark parking lot. But the cameras, checked later by managers, showed something terrifying. The man never appeared entering the store. There was no footage of his arrival. The only time he appeared was after he was already standing inside. And worst of all, in the footage of his exit, the man walked toward the doors, but they never opened. He simply vanished before reaching them. Jenna quit the night shift 2 days later. Story 2. The call that came from inside. Sam worked in electronics at Bright Buy, a huge chain store with endless aisles and too few employees. One night, while restocking headphones, he heard the store phone ringing. An old landline near the back storeroom door. Odd. That phone barely rang. He answered. A whisper crackled through the receiver. "Stop walking." Sam froze. "Who is this?" he asked. "Don't move." Sam's heartbeat quickened. The store had closed 30 minutes ago. Only he and one manager remained. He tried to stay calm. "Sir, this line isn't for customers. If this is a prank, turn around." A chill ran across Sam's skin. Very slowly, he turned. The hallway behind him was empty, but the whisper continued. "He's right behind the pallets." Sam stared at the tall stacks of box TVs. Nothing moved. No shadows shifted. He waited. Silenced, he lowered the phone and took a step toward the pallets. That's when the whisper returned. Louder, urgent, shaking with panic. "Don't go there." Sam dropped the handset. At that moment, the storeroom lights above the pallets flickered. Something shifted behind the boxes, a soft, dragging noise, like fingertips brushing cardboard. Sam backed away. He heard footsteps behind the boxes. Slow, heavy, too heavy to be the manager. Then, his manager's voice echoed from the front of the store. "Sam, you ready to clock out?" Sam stared at the pallets one last time. The dragging sound stopped instantly, as if whoever, or whatever, was hiding had gone completely still. Sam left without checking. The next morning, the pallets were moved for inventory. Behind them, a patch of concrete scratched with long, uneven marks, as if someone had been clawing at the floor. Story 3. The woman in the staff room. Every employee at Maplewood Market knew one rule. Never leave the staff room door open after closing. But nobody explained why. New hire Mia didn't take the rule seriously until her second week. She finished her shift at 11 p.m., exhausted, and dropped her bag in the staff room before signing out. The door closed behind her with a soft click. She bent to tie her shoelace. When she looked up, she saw the reflection in the small mirror on the wall. That a woman was standing behind her. Not close, several feet away, but definitely inside the staff room. The woman wore outdated clothing, like something from the 1980s, with a long skirt and frizzy hair. Mia spun around. The room was empty. She turned back to the mirror. There, the woman again, closer this time. Mia felt her breath catch. She backed away from the mirror. The overhead light flickered. The door rattled, as if someone outside grabbed the knob. Then a soft voice whispered from directly behind Mia's shoulder, "Don't leave it open." Mia bolted out of the staff room and didn't stop running until she reached the parking lot. The next day, she told a senior employee, who simply nodded. She shows up when someone forgets, he said. When someone forgets what? Mia asked. He replied quietly. The staff room used to be an office. A woman locked herself inside years ago after a dangerous customer followed her from the store. She survived, but she never felt safe leaving the door open again. Mia swallowed. So, what I saw, she warns people now, he said. That's all she does. Mia was never alone in the staff room again. Story 4. The freezer door that knocked back. Carlos worked at a large supermarket with massive walk-in freezers. They were safe, cold, bright, metallic, but unnaturally quiet when the heavy door shut behind you. One night, Carlos entered to organize crates of frozen vegetables. He propped the door open with a metal latch, but halfway through the job, he heard a loud bang behind him. The door had shut. Okay. It happened sometimes that he pushed it open. It didn't move. He pushed harder. Still nothing. His radio crackled with static, as if someone was pressing the button but not speaking. Then came the knocking. 3 knocks, slow, steady, from the outside. Carlos yelled, "Hello?" It stuck. 3 more knocks, slower this time. "Stop messing around," he shouted. Silence. Then, suddenly, rapid knocking. Fast. Aggressive. As if someone was pounding with both fists. Carlos backed up in fear. Then, nothing. The door suddenly swung open by itself. The latch was back in place. Untouched, no one was there. The security camera footage showed something even stranger. Carlos entered the freezer alone. The latch stayed perfectly open. The door never moved. The knocking he heard inside? The footage showed the door completely motionless the entire time. Carlos requested transfers to produce the next day. Story 5. The customer who knew everyone's name at Sunnyside Pharmacy. Employees wear name tags, but customers rarely use their names. Except for one woman. Everyone called her Mrs. Gray. She was polite, soft-spoken, and elderly. Nothing unusual. Except she always greeted employees by name before they introduced themselves. "Good evening, Anna," she would say. Or, "How is your headache today, Derek?" She even correctly guessed the name of a new employee before he received his name tag. One evening, Anna was working alone. Mrs. Gray entered, smiling gently. "How was your sister's appointment?" she asked. Anna froze. She had never told anyone at the store that her sister was sick. "Ma'am, how do you know that?" Mrs. Gray simply said, "Some people carry their worries loudly." Anna rung her up quickly. As Mrs. Gray left, she paused in the doorway and said, "Don't stay late tonight, Anna. The lights will go out." Anna shifted nervously. "Is something wrong?" But the woman just smiled. "You'll see." Minutes later, every single light in the pharmacy flickered and shut off, except the emergency ones. Electricians found no reason for the outage. The next week, the employees learned something chilling. Mrs. Gray had passed away 2 years ago. Her obituary photo, the exact woman every employee recognized, wanted the night shift after that. Story 6. The thing in the fitting room. Clothing stores have horror stories of their own. Missing items, strange smells, forgotten personal belongings. But nothing was like the fitting room incident at Valley Threads that a customer complained that one of the fitting room stalls was occupied too long. Emma, the shift leader, knocked. "Hello? Need any help?" Silence. She tried again. Still nothing. She peered under the door. No feet. She unlocked it with the master key. The stall was fully clean except for one thing. A long, dark handprint smeared across the mirror. Emma frowned and wiped it clean. 5 minutes later, another customer complained again. "Someone is crawling in that stall." Emma checked again. Empty. But this time the handprint had returned. Larger, darker, higher on the mirror. She cleaned it again. Hours later, before closing, she checked one last time. The mirror was covered, not with one handprint, but dozens. Layered, overlapping, stretching from the top to the bottom like someone had pressed their hands repeatedly across the glass. Emma quit after management blamed her for leaving paint in the fitting rooms. The handprints appeared for weeks afterward. No one ever saw who or what made them. Story 7. The warehouse voice. Large retail stores have huge warehouses attached. Dark aisles filled with pallets, metal shelves, and echoing silence. Tyler worked nights in one such warehouse. One shift. While unboxing inventory, he heard a faint voice. "Hey." He turned. No one. He continued working. "Hey, Tyler." He froze. The voice came from the opposite aisle. He stepped forward cautiously. "Who's there?" Silence. As he turned back, a whisper echoed. "Don't leave me here." He spun around again, but saw nothing. The warehouse felt colder suddenly, as if a vent had opened. He called security, assuming a trespasser was hiding somewhere. Guards searched every aisle. Nobody, but they found something strange, a small open box on the floor. Inside was a walkie-talkie. one used by employees long ago before they switched to modern radios. The walkie-talkie crackled. "Tyler, please." Security inspected it. It had no batteries. Tyler refused to work alone in the warehouse again. Story 8. The customer who returned something that didn't exist. Megan worked at a department store returns desk. She had dealt with unreasonable customers, but nothing prepared her for the woman who tried to return an invisible item. The woman placed an empty hand on the counter. "I'd like a refund," she said. Megan blinked. "Ma'am, what is the item?" "This," the woman insisted, moving her empty hand slightly. The instructions said it wouldn't stay visible. Megan tried to stay calm. "Do you have a receipt?" The woman nodded and handed over a perfectly normal piece of paper. But the receipt listed an item Megan had never seen. Veil lamp. Model V3.2, no SKU. No price. "Where did you buy this?" Megan asked. "Here," the woman said firmly. "You sold it to me." Megan had never seen the woman before. "Ma'am, we don't carry anything like." Before she finished, the store lights flickered. Something shifted in the air, like static. The woman's empty hand darkened for a second, as if holding a faint shape. Then the shape vanished again. Megan froze. The woman smiled sadly. "See? It's defective." She walked out quietly when Megan refused the return. Later, Megan checked the receipt number in the system. The record existed, but it was dated 6 years in the future. Story 9. The night all the mannequins faced the same way. Furniture and fashion stores have mannequins everywhere. Harmless, still, silent, or so everyone thought. Devin was closing alone one night when he noticed something unsettling. Every mannequin in the women's section was facing the back wall. Strange. They weren't arranged like that earlier. He shrugged and corrected them. 15 minutes later, he returned. All mannequins were facing the wall again. He checked security footage. Nothing unusual. The mannequins never moved on camera. But the moment he entered the aisle, they returned. He called a co-worker as a joke. "Hey, your mannequins are pranking me." His co-worker laughed. "They don't move, dude." But when Devin passed the aisle again, he stopped cold. The mannequins were standing closer together, almost huddled, and all of their heads were tilted slightly upward, toward a vent in the ceiling. AS if listening, AS if waiting. Devin backed away slowly. The next morning, the store manager found all mannequins lying on the floor facing the entrance, as if they had fallen forward at the same time. Devin never returned for his shift.